Before we dive into today's episode, just a quick word from the sponsor CWD Pond. Whether or not you're building your new koi pond or you're upgrading your existing setup, these guys have got you covered with sleeper pond kits, pond windows, pressure pipe and all the essentials you need to build a pond. And for Koi Perspective podcast listeners, you can enjoy 5% off using the discount code TKPP5. Check them out, all the links are down in the description below. Let's get into today's episode. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Koi Perspective podcast. I'm joined again by Simon from up north Koi Pond. How are you doing, Si?
Yeah, not bad, Joe.
And I'd usually say I'm joined by Dave, but as you can see, this isn't Dave that we've got today.
Far better looking than Dave.
I was just about to say that. Far better looking. Yeah, Dave's been, as we're recording this, it's whilst we've been having the snow up in the UK, so he's been snowed in at work and therefore can't make it this evening. So we've not subbed in Paul. You were due to be our guest anyway, but Paul is the show chairman for the Great British Koi Show, and I've been friends with Paul for a couple of few years, really. I remember meeting Paul at the Open Show, the Yorkshire Open Show. Do you remember when it was held at the old venue?
Pastures, yeah.
Yeah, Pastures Hotel.
Yeah, and the member show, yeah.
And I remember there were a vat of fish, and I think it was yours, and I was like, do you know what? I just can't understand these big yellow fish. And I think it were your Yamabuki, and he said, yeah, but you've got to look at the fukurin. And I was like, well, what the hell is fukurin? So, yeah, Paul's kind of, I guess, been with me from the start in this koi hobby. Paul's far more experienced. Do you want to give people a bit of background how you got into koi keeping?
Got into koi keeping really by mistake. Well, fish keeping, I'll say koi keeping loosely terms. So, you know, the kids are all grown up now, but years ago we were moving into a house and there was a little garden pond. And as we were moving the stuff in from the front door, the kids were playing in the pond in the back garden. So, you know, the missus says, right, that's it. It's going. So in the end, I built a wall around it. And you know, and I think, like everybody, you know, you World of Water, I think I had mentioned the other week, and I thought, oh, that brings back memories, going to buy a few ghosts put in there.
Yeah,
and that's the way it started. But probably seriously, I don't know, probably 8-9 years ago, really, when Dan, my eldest, had a pond, he showed at the showed his fish at the southeast, And it was just like a different experience, if you know what I mean, down there for the weekend. And then I came back, looked at his fish and looked at mine and thought, I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't mind a go at that. And then looked at my fish and thought, I can't have a go at that.
It's kind of a make or break moment for a hobbyist, isn't it? Because you either go to these koi shows and come back and go, sod it, I can't bother with this because my collection's a load of rubbish. I'm going to pack it in because I'm never going to reach that. Or you get some people who are like, do you know what? That's what I want to do. For some people, they're not bothered about what the collection looks like as well. Like they just enjoy the fish they've got. But for you, we're a little bit of a turning moment. You wanted to get into koi showing.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what to do. I had quite a big operation in 2015, and then I joined the Yorkshire section up here at the AGM, actually. And they had their little members show, so I thought, do you know what, I'm going to have a little tickle with that. Yeah, I think 17, 18 was my first show. And it was just nice, if you know what I mean. It's nice. The club is nice, you know, let's not get me wrong. They've made me feel welcome from the first time I turned up. I didn't know anything about showing. You know what I mean? I took a few fish along and I got some places. You know what I mean? And it was the whole thing about actually just being around, or it's about being around people with the same hobby that you can sit and talk to all the time about anything. You know, you can go and discuss each other's fish and have a bit of banter and a laugh, and you know. But yeah, it's a great way of meeting like-minded people.
It is. I think it's a good place to start. We're going to be discussing the koi show in a bit more depth, but I guess koi clubs is a good place to start. In my mind, koi clubs have been a little bit superseded in terms of like you've got all this content. I mean, Sai's a good example of with YouTube now. There's like a society over the internet, and it's not to disregard the koi clubs. I was a part of the Yorkshire Koi Club for a good few years. But Sai, have you ever thought about joining? Are you in a club or have you joined a club?
No, I'm not actually in a club. I'm not sure what the nearest club is around here, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I'd probably say it'd probably be the East Midlands Koi Society or something like that, is it? I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure,
there's
to
an
be
East
honest with you.
Midlands. There was an
Yeah,
East Midlands.
yeah, I'm not too sure where they're based out of, though, or, where they meet or anything like that. I know of them, though, like I say. But other than that, I'm not really too sure what other clubs there are. I don't think there's many. I know there's obviously the Birmingham
Birmingham, West
Society.
Midlands.
Yeah, but they're quite away from me. So probably the nearest one to me would probably be East Mids. But yeah, it's something what I have thought about joining a club before, but it's just something that I've never really got round to, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, I guess your community, your like koi community, is on the internet, but that's all well and good. I think a lot of people do get it. Then this podcast is another example as people can consume this over the internet and have a community on the internet. But without these koi clubs, koi shows don't happen, do they, Paul? Like
No,
realistically,
and I think it's quite internet is quite an insular thing. We can all make content. We can all sit in our front rooms and watch it. Everybody studies the internet for fish that are coming up, or watching fish that are available, or the harvest or something like that. But actually, to go round and visit somebody and have a look over their pond, or them come to you, or a group of people, and then you can sit there and have a right old chinwag with some bit of cake and a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? For a few hours is a great way.
So what about the Yorkshire section then? Where do they tend to meet?
Well, we've got members up in the northeast. We go out to the northwest, Manchester, Cheshire way. Obviously, we cover Yorkshire. We go out to Hull, Grimsby way, and we go down to Chesterfield.
Well, I'm Chesterfield.
Yeah, so we've got members in Chesterfield, and actually we've got 3 members out Sleaford, Peterborough way. You know what I mean? So we cover a big area. I think a lot of that was just because of the show. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. A lot of people join at the show, but people have stuck around. So we're gonna have, as a club, we're going down in May time, and we're going to go and visit the 3 guys down in Sleaford way. So the whole club will just go. We'll meet at, I don't know, say 10 o'clock, and then we'll do 10, 12, 2, and then we'll go for a meal at a pub afterwards. You know what I mean?
I was really grateful for these kind of pond visits at the time. Like when I was doing them, I don't particularly have the time now, and it's not to say I wouldn't love to do it if I had the time. But if there's anyone out there that's building a pond or considering building a pond, I can't recommend it highly enough to join a koi club and see if there's any pond visits going, because you can generally go. I mean, I've been over to Paul's pond. I've been over to probably 10 different members' ponds out of the Yorkshire Society and drank all the cups of coffee and tea that I could get my hands on, and cake and barbecues and all sorts. But generally, the most valuable part I got from it was some design tips, like seeing what other people are doing. And again, you can get a lot of this stuff on the internet, but I don't think it quite, makes up for seeing it in person. I don't think, and being able to stick your head around and see how they're doing the pipe works, how they're connecting filters and everything else. Like there's some really wacky designs in the Yorkshire section as well, aren't there?
You could go to 10 ponds, and every one of them will have a different layout and a different filter system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all depending on budget. So if it's your first pond and you want to set up, and you don't need an all-singing drum, you don't need a 2-metre backy shower, you don't need a 500-gallon moving bed filter that's going to cost you 3 arms and a leg. You don't need that. And the clubs cater for everybody, because you've got like people that are that have got 16, 20,000 gallons in the club, and then you've got others that have got, or the pond is part of the garden. You know what I mean? Which is totally different to show koi, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to see, because some of we've got one guy that's his garden is terraced, and the pond is in the bottom of this terrace, like an amphitheatre, really, and it is absolutely staggering to see.
Mm.
What people do, and join clubs for, because a lot of it is just camaraderie and just friendship, and and just enjoying the time with each other.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So from yourself, then you started koi keeping after visiting the southeast.
Well, I decided to sort of leave the Israeli ghosts alone.
So, what's your pond like then for somebody who hasn't seen it? Do you want to tell us about your pond?
Yeah, it's about 20, well, I don't know, 22, 25 foot long, 8 foot wide. Deepest point's about 6 foot, and then I've got a shelf that's about a metre down. Total about 4,000 gallons. I tried to make it sort of a bulletproof pond, if you know what I mean. So I ran 2 bottom drains into a drum, and then I ran 2 separate bio boxes, each on with their own pump, with their own air pump. Back to returns underwater.
Yeah.
So
you have had showers before, but you've taken your showers
I
off
did
now,
have,
haven't
yeah, I had a big 4-tier backy shower on it, a Momotaro one stainless steel. And when the prices of electricity was getting a bit silly, I decided that I would, because I was going to try and give them a winter where I hadn't normally. I'd kept them sort of 15. And so I thought, right, I'll give them a winter, take them down to 8, and actually realised that putting 20,000 litres over an hour over a backy shower wasn't the most economic. So I said, right, I'll turn it off over winter, and I'll clean it all down and recommission it in spring.
Yeah.
But just about as I was going to recommission it, I get a phone call from the hospital, and that was it. So for the best part of a year, that shower stayed off. And if you ask Jo, she was looking after the fish because I couldn't. We had no problems. We had no parasites. We had no problems with water. We had nothing. So in the end, I decided, right, I'll just stay with the bio boxes and keep the shower off. And to be fair, I've not looked back. So yeah,
No.
I run 2 bio boxes and no shower.
Yeah. It's quite a traditional pond. You have had problems with your water recently, though, haven't you? You've been chlorine and other bits and bobs, haven't you?
Massive, yeah. But you say you know when you get problems with your pond and everybody says, right, scrape. Well, I was doing that and I couldn't find anything, and I was just getting little knocks and a raised scale or a split fin, and what I could test for, everything was good. You know what I mean? And I couldn't find anything on the scrapes, nothing at all. I had somebody come out with all this technical know-how, with all these nanometers, because I'm not a scientist like old Simon over there.
Another one.
Scientist Simon, yeah.
That's it.
No, so, Dave's going to get it for that one of these days.
So I had them come out, and they couldn't find anything apart from a huge amount of pollen in the water. That's when I watched Simon's YouTube video about the pond detox. And then I spoke to Andy Finch about it as well and bought some. That has been an absolute game changer. I've never seen anything affect my pond for the better so quickly as that. Never. So probably because I've never been able to remove it, because last year I was using all sorts of clays and potions to try and, you know what I mean, just get rid of what was in the water. Yeah, conditioners, yeah, and without going through brand names. But at 12 degrees, I have never seen my fish leap over each other for food like they do at 24 degrees. I haven't seen that ever since I've had the pond.
Yeah, it's
never.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it's people ask me what it's like, what it does, and I don't know. I don't know what it does. I like, but I know it works for me.
Yeah.
And that's all I can tell you.
So going into the Great British Koi Show then. So you've recently been the show chair, haven't you? So you took the first Koi Show that you were chairman of was last year, wasn't it? certain people have been that were 2024.
Yeah, well, we tried to do it as a committee last year because obviously we had James for the first couple of years and he stepped down because I'm the chairman of the club. The missus didn't want me to take too much, so we tried to do the show chair bit between us, but it worked to a certain extent. But actually, there was nobody making a decision. At the wash-up meeting, they said, "Right, will you take show chair?" So I said yes. So this year will be the first official, if you like, show chair of the Great British.
Yeah. So in terms of like last year, we've since the first show we were in the first hall. We've moved it onto the second hall. I think we can all say there's been some like learnings that we've taken along the way, aren't there, since the first?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's still evolving now, Joe. You know what I mean? And the amount of money because don't forget this is club money. You know, everything. You know, I don't think people realise how much it takes for a little club like ours to commit tens of thousands of pounds, because that's what it is, tens of thousands of pounds to put on a show at Newark. And then if they don't turn up, if people don't turn up, we've got a problem.
You always get the shaky knees, don't you, when you get to that Friday evening and everything's done and you know it's evening, you're cracking open a beer, all the fish are in, they've all been benched, and you go, bloody hell, I hope people turn up tomorrow.
yeah,
literally, everybody's just pacing around on that Saturday morning, aren't they, waiting?
Yeah, it's you know we've signed a contract now for this. Yeah, it is this year and next year, 2026. So we will be here this year. We are going again next year. So we are trying to introduce awards for the majority of people, because I think for me, it was the best thing I ever did it. And I love the weekends and I love the weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, I don't know, how many new people did we have showing last year? Six?
There was a lot.
7?
Yeah.
And I remember me still working on at 10 o'clock, and then you lot coming back from the Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember that, Joe, or don't you remember it?
I remember saying your baby champion shouldn't have won that year. Yes. So let's start with them.
It's part of the weekend, isn't it? Just to sit down and have just a laugh and a joke and a discussion and the Mickey taking, and you know what I mean, the discussing everything about everything, really.
Yeah,
and that's what it was, and hopefully all the guys enjoyed it. I don't think some of them could actually see straight, could they?
Well, to be fair, it was the first year that there's been obviously a little bit of a change in people who are showing as well. We've seen a lot of people drop out of showing. Some really big hobbyists that have taken a kind of like some of them have just completely retired out of the game, haven't they? And some of them have just stopped showing altogether. So there was some new blood this year, and we decided that I invited them all out to an Indian Book, the restaurant. I wanted to grow a bit of a community of people who are showing. And because although they're all competing, there's still like a good banter between everybody. And I think it's really important. But for me, the big thing was the new people who were showing there were all of a young age, is what I would say. It's really fresh blood in the hobby. And I think there's probably a consensus of people out there like Si. Before we came on here, I said to Si that he should come up and do a Great British Koi Show, but you don't think you're ready yet.
No.
But to be fair, Paul, you've introduced some awards in the Koi Show, haven't you? Do you want to tell people about those?
The poster gives it a little bit away. We did Best Shiro at Surrey in the first year, Kajaku second. Last year, I had Yamabuki on the poster, and it was Best Single Colour Koi, because that crosses so many boundaries. You know what I mean? There's not many people that don't have a single colour koi, and it's not consigned to one show variety because it crosses over. This year, we're doing Best Ginrin, not the Kin Ginrin as in the variety, but spanning all show varieties. So it will be Best Ginrin.
Yeah.
And that will be, we'll call it a special award or a major award. I just have to be a bit, but it will be one of our plaques. It will be one of our crystals. It will be the bag of food. And it will be chosen by our sponsors. So the guys that are sponsoring us, and without them, we couldn't put it on the show at all.
Well, last year the two sponsors were Shoshiko and Absolute, which are both Shinkokai members, aren't they? So they're very qualified.
There's a few more sponsors this year. There's a couple drop out. They're not drop out. That's wrong to say, but they just said they wanted to give others a go, and so they'll support us in other ways. But yeah, there's. It will be good fun to see what wins the best Ginrin, because you've got 4 main prevalent dealers that are our sponsors, and it will be good to see them work together, because what we don't have nastiness. We're a club, and it's important that we actually foster relations with everybody. Actually, you know what I mean. We need dealers, we need trade stands, we need general public, we need helpers.
Is the number of VATs increasing for this year?
No, we went and bought all 2.8 metre VATs. So there will be 32.8 metres, 2.8 metre VAT. Physically, without losing space allocated to dealers, I can't physically get any more in. We've tried. We've gone into 3 halls. There's 32,000-ish square feet. But to actually make a ring of everything is like 3 metres by the time you've got your splash guards in. I can't get any more in at the moment. We've tried, I've had people trying to play about with it on, is it CAD Planner or something? CAD
like
drawings. Yeah, and we just tried everything, and I can't get any more in. So it's not as though I've got an expansive field where we can just move things along. I've got 4 walls.
The other thing as well is the water only comes out of the tap so blooming fast as well.
Yeah, well, we've got the borehole, the fire hydrant this year.
Yeah, right, okay.
So I can put a 4-inch pipe on that.
Oh wow, okay.
That's it, and then last year we had it. We turned it on, and literally within half an hour we had the fire brigade coming down the road. So they thought there was a massive leak at Newark Showground. We were pulling thousands of gallons, obviously.
Yeah.
But Newark had forgot to tell the fire brigade that the koi show was on.
Yeah. With the awards though, so you've got the special award this year, which is going to be Ginrin.
Yes,
and then you've also done in sizes as well. Do you want to...
Yeah, I'm going to try. I haven't sent the awards off to the judges yet, but I want to try and bring an award in for size 1 and call it a mini. But the issue with that is that baby champion would sit over size 1 and 2. You know what I mean? So it would be best in size 1, but then actually a size 1 champion could also be baby champion. So we're going to work that one round. But we'll have baby champion. My hope is to get a major award, if that's what we want to call it, in every size. That's what I hope. So if we look at a mini award in size 1, baby in size 1 and 2, if you like. We've got a junior in size 3, or best in size 3 will be a junior. A young adult will be size 3 and 4. Adult will be 5, and then 6, 7, and 8 will be mature, superior, and GC.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Because to get new people into showing, we can't have the awards all at, say, size 5 and above. You can't do it, because people, they've got to come to the show, they've got to experience it. If they bring size 2 or size 1, 2, and 3, then they've got to have awards to go for.
Well, that was one of the reasons for me starting off my first show in the Birmingham Junior Koi Show, because obviously with it being a junior show, it's purely for fish from size 1 through to size 5. Yeah. Now those sizes, they're achievable for anybody.
Yeah.
So that's was one of the main attractants for myself. Another first time shower.
Yeah, and it's great, and because the Southeast used to do that as well. They used to have the junior or spring show, the junior koi show, and it's great. But that's why I wanted the awards in every size for ours as well. So like yourself, if you wanted to come and show, you'll have as much chance as winning a trophy in ours as you would in any others. You know what I mean? Even though the Birmingham West Midlands is up to size 5. So, but I always say to people, if you come along and just enjoy the weekend, because you can't control the results. Nobody can control the results. All you can do is put them in a vat and let the judges judge. Whatever comes out of that, nobody can control apart from the judges. He's all right, you laughing, Joe. He's right, though, isn't it? You put in, and you might think that I have got the best size 2 Kaka and I'm going to win baby champion all day long. And then they go and give it to a size 1 Kajaku. Just for argument's sake. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you think. But it's worse if you come expecting to win and don't, and then don't enjoy the weekend. It's better to come along, put your fish in, and enjoy the weekend. I think whatever comes out of that, I think is just still a good weekend.
Yeah, and I don't want to put you on the spot with it, but there's a lot that's been said about the actual judging recently. And I don't know how much you want to delve into it or if you want to delve into it at all, but one of my main frustrations is you can do everything that you do as a koi show chairman to make sure the event goes smoothly at the weekend, but the judging is entirely out of your hands, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And there's been a lot of talk about it recently, and I've got my own opinions on it. I'm sure you two have got your own opinions on it, but it's very difficult for me to be motivated to bring my fish when I feel like it's not in the way the koi show is trying to move forward. That I don't feel like the judging is my opinion on it, and that's the bit that frustrates me because I feel like something has got to change with that moving forward, and it's a difficult subject to cover. In the same way that the koi show committees and the koi clubs, they're all volunteers, they're all there, trying to put on events for the general public. I mean, Paul don't walk away with thousands of pounds in your pocket, although I bet he wish he did. But it's not
thousands of pence would be nice.
But it's difficult to be critical of people when they are giving up the time, isn't it? But we're all koi show people here. I mean,
I think it's with anything, and and I've had my say over what I thought was the best fish, and we can all agree to disagree. And that's the issue. You know what I mean? You can say, how many of us sit down and watch Crufts and say, oh, that standard poodle or that Weimaraner should win, and then they give it something that you think, what's that? You know what I mean? And you can only have a certain amount of winners. We've asked the judges to do a job, and if we could do the job, we'd do it, wouldn't we? And to be fair, last year they were still there at 10 o'clock with me, as you know, on the Saturday night, and they were brilliant, all 4 of them.
And like I say, it's not. I don't want to be seen as like a negative Nelly with it all, because they are giving up the time to come and do it, and they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
The judges are not getting paid for being there. It's not a job. It's not a 9 to 5. They're giving up their time for the love of the hobby. I just kind of feel like there's maybe a reason why we are seeing some people drop out of showing as well on the senior side.
Yeah, you're right. There's some people dropping in, but that's the hobby, Joe. You know what I mean? Otherwise, Thierry and Marie would be still playing for Arsenal. That's the hobby, isn't it? You know what I mean? Things happen, things move on. You know what I mean? People that started showing in 1980 are no longer showing, but actually we took in 6, 7. We had loads of new people, I believe, showing at the National. So that's just part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things move. No, nothing stays the same, does it?
No, I agree with that. For anyone like new to showing, how do you convince people to come out and show? Because it is, for a lot of people, a daunting task, netting a fish, bagging a fish and bringing it to a koi show. And I guess as well, like a lot of people will have, I mean, the show's been running for a few years, which helps now, but people want to be assured of fish safety and other things, don't they, as well?
Yeah, and that's a great thing about being in a koi club, Joe, because you get people going with waders on in the pond, don't they, and help others net their fish and with a seine net and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
not speaking of anyone in particular there, are you?
No, but you know what I mean? It's like the people that are in the club all have to have their fish there as well on the Friday. But actually, we've got to be there for 9 o'clock to take other people's fishing.
Yeah.
So some of us will bring our fish and we'll get there at 10. Others will be there at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And then people will go and help them get their fish to bring to the show at midday. And you know what I mean? But if you want to come and show, just enjoy the weekend. That's the most important part. It's not about win, lose or draw. It's actually come and speak to everybody, because the people you meet on the Friday, when you bring your fish, you'll recognise them all weekend, because they're not the general public. They are the koi community that are in the showing. And somebody will say, "Oh, what vat are you?" And you'll say, "Oh, 21. Oh, let's go for a look then." But that happens, doesn't it?
It does
That
happen.
happens, and people, and as people come in, you just see them walking around in groups looking at other people's fish. And I don't think there's anything nasty from anybody that's showing to another person's fish. They don't say that's rubbish or that shouldn't have come, or you know what I mean? But they don't, Joe, do they?
Or at least to the face.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
But if they do, it's done jovial, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you say, if you got an absolutely fabulous size 6 kahaku, people will say, "What the hell we bought that for? That should be in the canal."
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what it is, isn't it?
I think on the Adam Webber video that I did, I unbagged his massive chagoy. I think in background you're like, "Oh, if you want, I'll take it home with me." That it's a dosser, that fish anyway, or something. In background, you just see a pole. Brilliant. No,
But that's what it is, though, and it just, you know what it's like from Friday to when everybody gets there. That carries on until after presentation and beyond, to be fair.
Yeah.
And
well, I don't know. I just kind of come home with like sore ribs from laughing all weekend. With you, it's a nightmare, to be honest. But no, it's good, and the trade have got right behind it as well. I mean, in terms of like the koi shows on the scene, I mean, you are guaranteed a pretty good weekend. But one of the things, because it's indoors, like I've spoken about that before, big thing for me is that it's indoors. It's not weather reliant. I mean, last year the show was, I think the weather were pretty pants actually that year.
It came down on the Saturday, didn't it, at 45 degrees?
Yeah.
It was absolutely hammering down on the Saturday. And everybody, when we opened, or everybody was, before we opened, there was a queue a mile long, and it just started pelting down. I just said, open the doors. And I think we opened the doors like half an hour early just to get people in, out the rain. But it was one of the best days we've had over the 3 years.
Yeah,
was the Saturday, and it was really weird, because you think, is anybody else going to turn up because of the rain? And actually, everybody came because of the rain.
Yeah, it's a good retreat, isn't it? I mean,
if people had a day out at the coast, they weren't going, were they?
No, yeah, it's true. And I remember I've dragged Holly, my wife, a couple of times to koi shows when it's been teaming it down with Raid and not been in the good books. So, yeah, if it's on your mind, you're going to visit one, like plan an indoor one maybe. But no, it's good. I mean, the future of koi shows, who knows what they are? I mean, I remember there's been, you might be able to tell me what the authorization is, but people talking about footsteps in halls being stressful to fish and things like that. There's all these animal welfare agencies out there that I believe one day might look at it and go, well, is there going to be koi shows in 20, 30 years? You've had to put membranes down on the floor and matting and all sorts, and people don't necessarily see all this stuff that goes into a koi show to make it actually happen, do they?
No, and it was quite frightening. You know what I mean? To spend tens of thousands of pounds, every year. We do it, don't we? It's a hobby.
Yeah.
Are they going to be around? I think if new people get involved, but they've got to be involved personally. Otherwise, it will become a hobby that people sit and view in front of a computer, and there will be online shows, and
we've seen it in Japan, haven't we, with the AI shows now, where there's that.
But I don't think you can beat the long weekend of just being with some right nutters.
And for you, Si, like with koi shows, when you went to your first one, did you think everyone were balmy? Like, what was your initial thoughts?
The one thing that I definitely noticed from showing fish to just going to a show to view fish is I certainly noticed that there was a different vibe depending on which side of the fence you were on. What I mean by that is when you're there showing fish, it's a totally different experience than it is when you're there to view fish. Because when you're there showing fish, you're in that bubble with everybody else that's there showing fish as well. And it just makes the whole weekend much more enjoyable because everyone's there to help you. Everyone's, talking to you. Everyone gets along. And it's just a totally different experience. And
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it to anybody that's thinking about showing for the first time.
I'll put this out there now, Joe, that we are going to need, to carry our show on anyway, the Great British, we are going to need helpers.
Mm.
You know what I mean? The club itself is getting older. The show itself is getting bigger, and we will need help to build it because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But actually, what Simon was just saying about actually you're in a bubble if you're showing. Actually, the people that come build it are also in that bubble because they were with us last year, if you know what I mean, and they just came and had a whale of a time because we do the camping there as well. A few people have experienced the campsite on a Friday and Saturday evening with the barbecue there and the beer going, and it's all part of the vibe and all part of that bubble. Whether you're building, showing, working on volunteering on our catering, and there's a million and one things that go into that.
It's hard graft, to be honest. I mean, it's in some ways it's a hard sell for people, to say come along and help us put these vats out, and
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is backbreaking.
Yeah,
absolutely backbreaking.
And it's like personally, last year for the last couple of years, I've always kind of sat at home through them days, and thought I should be there helping because I know you guys are there breaking your back. But then I have come on the Friday and done the benching. But this year I have to make a call because I can't be there as a magazine and be there doing the benching because on that Saturday I can't physically walk straight from bending over them vats for a full day, And last year I'd done Adam Webber's Pond and things, and so there's even going to be more help needed next year. And like you say, these people that are doing it, they're not all young whippersnappers, are they?
No, they're not. They're not, and it's, as I say, if we can get some helpers in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll be ready to receive on Friday. But that will be the only thing that stops us is not being physically able to put it on.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
In your mind, Paul, what is the future for koi shows? Because koi shows have been around for a long time, and people talk about glory days. People talk about where we are now. Is it in a good state? Is it in a bad state? But have you got any idea in your mind as to what the future is for koi shows?
And unless people get into the helping out at koi shows, then it will die. Because like I've said, you know what I mean. The younger people think they can just turn up for a couple of days, put the fish in a vat and go. But actually the people that take all the time to put it on, they need help now. You know what I mean? There's willingness from the dealers, and I think there's willingness from the public to attend, but actually that 8 days of building, running and taking down, if we don't get that right, between all the shows, not just ours, between all of them, then I think we're on a slippery slope, and that'll be a shame because I really look forward to them. You know what I mean? I only show at ours, but I've been to the Birmingham West Midlands. I've enjoyed days at the South East, so I have great days at the National. And if they're not there because actually somebody don't want to give a day up, or you know what I mean, I just think that's.
It would be sad. It would be sad to lose it. I mean, I just wonder whether or not something's got to change in terms of the shows in this country are essentially propped up by the trade, the sponsorship and people coming on the day. But, whether or not we've got to look at what they do in Japan in terms of, how they are putting on koi shows. Do you think there's any viableness to that? Is it viable? Probably a better way.
I don't think it's viable in the winter, Joe.
No.
I don't think British people will stand for it, will they?
No.
Well, not only that, but if you went to a dealer now, or say middle of December, right, then this eye aren't out of quarantine, and the toe side from this last year have been sold. So actually, for the dealers to come along, take a pitch, what have they got to sell apart from dry goods and whatever's left? You know what I mean? And it's got to be viable for everybody. And it's lovely to put on shows, but ours are a different model to the Japanese. You've been to the shows in Japan, Joe. How many trade stands do you see selling their wares at?
I mean, you'll see JPD and Hikari, maybe a regional wholesaler or something like that. And it's very, very little, not if anything at all.
You know, we've got 40 odd trade stands, the National probably there or more. It's a different model. You know, as I say, we pay tens of thousands of pounds to put it on. That's got to come from somewhere. And if the trade don't take the money, they're not going to invest, you know, just pay all that sort of money just to turn up. And
the daft thing is for me though is that it does cost a lot of money, and I don't think it's as though you could go out there and just negotiate a new venue, for example. I don't think there's many venues in the country that are going to be as convenient as the Newark Showground and everything else. But it probably costs you multiple times more than what it does to do like the Hiroshima Koi Show, and they will have 150 vats, and that's where I start to say, well, is it just that the Koi shows have to change with the times? And like I agree with you, it would be a massive shame. It would be a humongous shame, because I think for anyone out there that visits a Koi show, I'd say it's kind of like 50-50. You go there for 50%, you're there to see the showfish. But the other 50, like the big part of me is I like walking around the dealers and the manufacturers to see what they've got going on and what if there's any new products or anything like that. I guess you'll have your own thoughts on that side. But like,
well, I think a lot of it as well is about just meeting up with people and having a good old chat. You know, just people, just like-minded people in the koi community. You know, I think that's a massive part of it as well. Just get out for the weekend and just have a chat with people about fish.
Yeah. And that goes back to the koi club, because we do that every month in the koi club. You know what I mean? It's something that we'll meet up. But, you know, we do it on a weekend, we do it on an evening. You know, but it's nice. You know what I mean? To meet up nice people.
Yeah.
Sit down, have coffee and a bit of cake and a chat, and for 2 or 3 hours, and it's lovely.
But you'll be announcing things along the way. You usually do some like giveaways and bits and bobs, don't you, and run up to koi shows?
Well, we try. We got we try and bring something different every year. There's a couple of trade stands that, like last year, if you remember, it was Greenwood Bonsai.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People go down to the B&Q and see a bonsai, don't they? At like $9.99 in a pot, and everyone goes, "Oh, there's bonsai. Look, I'll buy a few of them." But actually, when they came to Greenwood Bonsai and saw proper bonsai, I think that was the most photographed stand from YouTube and Facebook and everything else about those bonsai trees, because they were absolutely
some of the best in the country, aren't they, in bonsai?
Oh, without doubt. Yeah. Without doubt. And we've got a couple of little things in the pipeline that, it will come out in the goodness of time, when we start releasing all the stands that are coming. But there is some fabulous artisans. That's what I'm going to use today. Artisans. Yeah, but it's something that will never be at other shows. Well, it might be in time. I don't know. But yeah, so some proper artists that are coming. It'll be nice, as well as all the best wet dealers and the best trade stands. That's what we hope for. Well, because we don't want come back on us. We want everybody to come, buy their wares, have a good crack with the dealers and the trade stands, and go away happy, and then hopefully come back next year, because it has to be sustainable.
One of the big things for me was that I only wanted to be like personally, and I don't want this to come across like really like bias, but obviously I've been involved with helping at this show, and I only wanted to do that if I felt like the interests were at heart for the koi hobbyists. And over the years, there has been, some thought go into who's actually attending the koi show from a trade perspective as well, having only good trade stands there, and having, the best water setup. I know the guy behind the water and how much he takes it to heart if there's any issue with the fish or whatever. So, the people behind it really do care, and I think it's well worth supporting. If you can give up a day to come along and help Paul and the team set it up, that'd be brilliant. And I'm sure they can get in touch with you on the Yorkshire section of the BKKS.
Or they can get hold of me or get hold of you, Joe. I'll pass them on, yeah.
I'm hopefully going to be there with the magazine this year. So if I can get the time off of benching, and that'll be good. And we did a digital podcast, program last year, which was really popular as well. So we'll be doing
again.
That
it's something that nobody else did, Joe, isn't it? And it's, you know what I mean. As a new show, we have to evolve, and I think that was brilliant. It was well received.
It was nice to put it out before the koi show, so people had a little bit of something to expect, and do a bit of info into koi classifications and size brackets and stuff like that as well. So for a bit of everything, and some vouchers in there for the koi show day and weekend. So there were all sorts in there. So I look forward to doing that again. And
good, thank you. You've got the job.
I thought we'd already agreed this. Yeah, it's that Alzheimer's kicking in a bit early. But no, I'll if anyone wants to get in touch with us, let us know, and I'll pass you on to Paul. But should be a good weekend again this year, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, you going to be showing again?
I might bring some mutts along. Yeah. I enjoy it. That's what it all started from our close show, and then getting kicked out the hotel grounds, and it's been brilliant to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy it. I enjoy the week. I enjoy the showing.
And you've done quite well. I mean, quite suspicious with you being show chairman. Tinfoil that time. No, I am kidding. You got the award when we had Saito over, didn't you? The Saito-san award. And then last year you got...
Yeah, I took the young adult in the first year as well.
Yeah.
And last year I took the adult and baby champion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely chuffed to bits.
Yeah, so I'm sure if you bump into Paul this year, he'll take you around his vat and show you his mutts in brackets. No, but it's good. And like I say, I'll probably pick up with Paul sometime after the show and have another podcast speaking about next year. But it'd be good to... everything's still in planning stage, isn't it? I mean, it's 8 months away yet, but...
Yeah, we've been planning for about 8 weeks already, to be fair. The show committee's met numerous times, and obviously the wash up from the end of last year, and then we meet up to get the contracts out from Newark, and you know what I mean. The sponsors need putting together, the show posters there or thereabouts now. So hopefully when that lands, if this goes out at the same time, it will be a giveaway. The Ginrin one should be nice because it crosses all boundaries. That's any variety Ginrin.
Yeah,
that's fabulous because that gives everybody of every variety a chance.
That's in Ginrin single colour, Ginrin Shiro, Ginrin Tancho, could be Ginrin anything.
Asagi, everything. Ginrin Gorama.
Does that go through all size categories as well, or is it one for
everything? It's chosen by our sponsors, and that will be one of the plaques and the crystals and the food and and its own photographs, and it'll be. But and I'm going to do the same next year. I already know what next year is going to be, but I want to cross boundaries, so it's not just best Kahaku or best Shiro. Actually, it crosses the lines of having a
Well, it makes it more competitive as well, doesn't it?
Best male
fish. Yeah, I mean, we can discuss that because we're going to do a male podcast at some stage, male versus female.
Who are you two getting on then?
Where do you stand on male in koi shows? Because can you ever see a male award coming along at the Great British or not?
The problem is, when we bench a fish, Joe, right, we do not look at sex or gender of the fish, do we?
No.
How many times do we turn them over?
Never.
Right. So if you're going to do that with something like, well, look at my 3-step that won the award from Shintaro in the first year. That was a male, but it didn't have a male body.
No.
But if you turn that over and then it splits a peck or damages its fin or, its dorsal. But it's all right saying dealers are doing it day in, day out, week in, week out. And, you're messing with people's pride and joy, and you only need a...
I think they'd have to submit it as part of the male class, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Then it'd have
Yeah,
to...
but that's like online benching. That's why we didn't do online benching.
No.
Because if something's 37, it's going in size 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why if we bench in the same bowls on the same day, then everybody's, if it's everybody's in the same boat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it.
No, it makes
So
sense.
I would love to see a male, but I don't know how you would go about actually on practicalities, because that's what I have to think of. Actual practicalities of ensuring every single fish in the show was a male.
I just bring up my fish. I just fill up my fish with them.
Yeah, but then you look down in the size 2s. You know what I mean? How many of the auction koi in size 2 that you're buying from Dainichi at 34 centimetres are sexed? If it says unknown, if they can't sex it, how are we gonna?
Well, tinfoil at time they can.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though, don't you?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see us have a male class, because I do feel like males in the bigger, especially in bigger size categories, do struggle. And if we
I think probably size 5, lower end of 6, you get perhaps one in a few that would compete. It's the volume, isn't it? When you look at the big girls in size 6, 7s, and 8s. It's just the actual sheer volume of the fish, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. It'd be nice to be able to bring a male in a bigger size and have a feeling we're in with a chance of something. Whereas I feel like you're kind of like, if you're taking a big 65, 70 cm male, you kind of, you're not out with a chance, but you...
And the thing is, Joe, this is what other people have got to realise as well, is that you'll take your fish, right? And you have no idea what's turning up. You might say, oh, that's not going to stand a chance. But actually, if nobody else brings one, then actually you've won.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's another thing, isn't it? There's 350 odd fish in the show. How many Ikari Atsuris or Beccos? They stand on their own. Well, they stand on their own, Joe, don't they?
It is silly, really. It's not. Again, I'm not trying to demerit what anyone has or has not achieved with this, but it's kind of like there are like Becco is a very. You'll get maybe 5 or 6 on a show weekend, so it's not like a competitive. You have to be in it to win it, as the saying goes. But I understand what you mean. it is achievable for some people to do, but kind of the competitor in me would want to have some competition. If they were.
But then you just get fed up with losing.
Yeah, I suppose. But no,
you can't have it always. You can't go to win and then don't like competition.
No, I remember I brought a kahake when I've shown, and I think it went into size 5 with about in kahake, and I think there were about 20 fish in that size, and it was extremely competitive. And the fish I brought were male, so it just didn't stand a chance. And that's an example where a male class would have been good, because I'd had a chance with that, I think. But it's interesting. Koi shows are very divisive topics, aren't they? And everybody has their own opinions on them.
Yeah, I think the more you get involved, the more you enjoy them. It's like the hobby. The more you want to get involved, the more you'll enjoy it. Yeah, it can drive you absolutely crazy. But in the end, it's a great hobby.
Yeah,
and it's good to be involved. And let's face it, all the people that put the shows on, the dealers, everybody wants to have a great weekend. There's nobody there that's thinking, oh, I wish I hadn't turned up today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're all there to have a great weekend.
Yeah.
And you'll find that, that is good. You know what I mean? You go around talking to dealers and have a right laugh with all of them. There's not many that you know what I mean, that are just aren't nice, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They'll just sit and chat, and the people that do come that don't normally frequent koi shows, like the Hipper Maples ladies that came.
Yeah.
They couldn't believe how friendly the community was. compared to doing things like Chelsea or Gardeners World Live.
Those
You know
were
what I
the
mean?
ones who did the Aces last year, weren't they?
Yeah, Pat was poorly, so she couldn't come. Hopefully, we might be able to get her back this year. But yeah, she just couldn't believe the difference in people.
Mm.
You know, it was like, can I run water? Can I do this? Can I do that? I said, yeah, just get on with it. You don't need to ask us. But when you go to the other places, the other shows, it was like, you know, do you want to plug something in? Oh, that's money. You want water? Oh, yeah, that's money. You know what I mean? But it's just quite, you know what I mean? It's laid back, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Although there's the competitive edge to it, you know, you're still there to have a good weekend.
Very true. I think it's been a good podcast. That I think it's been nice to highlight that the people behind the koi shows are hobbyists themselves, like yourself, Paul. You've been in it yourself. You've shown yourself and stuff, you know, in the koi show scene, and you're a hobbyist at heart, and all you want to do is put on a good weekend for everybody, isn't it? So, like I say, it'd be great for you all to support it this year if you can. And I'm sure, like I say, we'll have Paul back on in future and we can discuss it again once we've had, hopefully, a successful weekend.
Well, yeah, we hope so.
And
I'm sure it will be.
And if you don't have a heart attack before...
I've had people messaging me saying, you know, we're there. You know what I mean? Hotels booked, what days is it, and stuff like that. So... You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people that, because it is a club-run show, you know what I mean? And everybody in the club gets on. Everybody will make you welcome. You know what I mean? If you want a coffee, you go and have a coffee. If you want a bacon sandwich, you know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is. Because in the end, we are a club.
Yeah.
And we have friends within the club that actually just put a show on.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just hope people enjoy it. And if they'll come and give us a hand, all the better. Because... we're not young and fit like you two.
Oh, I'm not fit. Bloody hell,
you were the young one, Joe.
All right, thank you. No, that's been brilliant. Thanks again, Paul, for popping on, and thanks as always to Si up North Koi Pond for jumping on with us as well. And we'll see you hopefully on the August bank holiday. What is that this year? Let me just
23rd, 24th.
23rd and 24th of August.
So if anybody wants to come down from the Monday onwards, is that 19th? 18th, 19th?
18th is the Monday, so that week commencing the 18th. If there's any volunteers, hit Paul up. And I'm
19th,
sure
20th, 21st, you'll be made more than welcome. And we'll even make you coffee and butties. What more do you want?
Brilliant. All right, guys. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week on the Koi Perspective podcast.
Cheers, guys.
Stay steady, Joe.
Guys.